Something unusual just happened inside Tesla. Not a keynote, not a polished demo, not an Elon Musk tweet designed to hype the crowd this time. It was a leak. Internal footage, unfinished hardware, raw movement tests that were never meant for the public. And what Tesla Bot Gen 3 reveals in these leaks is not just impressive. It is eye-opening, because for the first time, Optimus does not look like a prototype. It looks like a worker. The posture is different. The hand articulation is different. The balance corrections happen without hesitation. This is no longer a robot that waits for instructions. This is a system that anticipates motion. And before we go any further, quickly subscribe to my YouTube channel for more Tesla content like this. I break down Tesla leaks, real-world implications, and the business consequences behind the headlines. If you care about where this is actually going, you do not want to miss what comes next. Now, here is why this leak matters. Tesla did not accidentally show Gen 3. They let just enough slip to signal something very specific. Readiness. Gen 1 proved the concept. Gen 2 proved controlled movement. Gen 3 proves deployment intent. And that is where everything changes. Because the moment Tesla Bot moves from lab demonstrations to real environments, the conversation stops being about robotics. It becomes about economics, labor replacement, and liability. What you are about to see is not hype. It is Tesla quietly telling the market that Optimus is no longer a science project. What the Gen 3 leak actually reveals, at first glance, the leaked Tesla Bot Gen 3 footage looks subtle. No dramatic music, no stage lighting, no applause, but that is exactly why it matters, because leaks do not show what marketing wants you to see. They show what engineers are testing when nobody is watching. And Gen 3 reveals 3 critical changes Tesla did not announce publicly. First, movement autonomy. Earlier versions waited. They paused between actions. They corrected after mistakes. Gen 3 does not. The bot adjusts balance mid-step. It repositions hands before contact. It anticipates weight transfer before lifting objects. That means decision-making is happening before failure, not after. This is the difference between a demo robot and a deployable system. Second, hand intelligence. Hands are the hardest problem in robotics. Not walking, not vision. Hands. Gen 3's fingers move independently under load. Grip pressure adjusts dynamically. Objects do not slip, wobble, or stall motion. That tells us Tesla has crossed a threshold. The bot is no longer executing scripts. It is responding to physical reality in real time. Third, environment tolerance. The leak does not show a clean lab. It shows uneven surfaces. Industrial lighting, non-standard object placement. Tesla would never leak footage like this unless the system was stable enough to survive scrutiny, which brings us to the real reason this leak exists. Signaling. Tesla is telling partners, competitors, and regulators one thing. This is not a concept. This is a product approaching responsibility. And right here, before we go deeper, please subscribe to my YouTube channel for more Tesla content like this. I break down real leaks, real risks, and real implications so you understand what actually matters. Not just what looks impressive. Because Gen 3 is not scary because it moves well. It is scary because it is close enough to real-world deployment that consequences begin to matter, and once consequences enter the conversation, everything slows down. Insurance, compliance, labor law, safety certification. This is where robotics history always breaks. Why Tesla let this leak happen now? Leaks do not happen by accident at Tesla. Not at this stage. Not with hardware this sensitive. Not with a product this consequential. This leak was intentional. But not for the audience most people think. Tesla did not leak Gen 3 footage for fans. They did not leak it for social media. They did not leak it for headlines. They leaked it for decision makers. Here is why the timing matters. Tesla is approaching the moment where Optimus stops being a research project and starts becoming an economic actor. And the moment that happens, 3 groups must be prepared in advance: regulators, enterprise customers, insurers. A public keynote creates hype. A leak creates plausibility. When regulators see polished demos, they assume marketing. When they see raw footage, uneven floors, imperfect lighting, real motion corrections, they see seriousness. This is Tesla saying quietly, we are past the demo phase. Start thinking about frameworks. Now let us talk about enterprise customers, factories. Warehouses, logistics centers do not buy robots because they look impressive. They buy them because they reduce labor, risk increase, uptime, lower long-term costs. The leak shows something subtle but critical. Optimus Gen 3 is not being tested alone. It is being tested around human-scale environments. That tells customers one thing. Tesla is not asking, can the robot move? They're asking, can the robot coexist? And coexistence is the gateway to contracts. Before we go further, please subscribe to my YouTube channel for more Tesla content like this. I break down why Tesla does what it does, not just what it shows. If you want to understand the strategy behind these moves, subscribe now. Now the third audience is the most important. Insurance. Nothing deploys at scale without insurance approval. A robot that can lift, carry, bend, and move near humans must have risk models attached to it. Tesla leaking. Controlled, stable, non-chaotic movement footage is not about impressing viewers. It is about giving insurers early data points, predictability, repeatability, failure, containment. This is Tesla quietly saying, the risk is becoming measurable. And once risk becomes measurable, it becomes insurable. That is the real unlock. Not intelligence, not speed, not strength. Insurability. Because once Optimus can be insured, it can be leased. Once it can be leased, it can scale. Once it scales, labor economics begin to shift. This is why the leak happened now, not because Gen 3 is finished, but because it is finished enough to force the next conversation, the one capability that changes labor economics forever. Most people think Tesla bought Gen 3 threatens jobs because it can lift boxes. That is not the real shift. The real disruption is time independence. Humans work in blocks, shifts, breaks, fatigue cycles. Even the best workers slow down. Optimus does. Not. Gen 3 is not impressive because it moves better. It is dangerous to existing labor models because it maintains consistency. Same speed, same precision, same output. Hour after hour, day after day. No sick days, no overtime negotiation, no productivity drop at hour 7. And this is where the economics break. Companies do not hire labor for peak moments. They hire for averages. A robot delivers the same output at 2 in the morning as it does at noon. The average shifts upward. That means fewer units needed to achieve the same production. That means labor costs do not scale linearly anymore. They flatten, and once costs flatten, entire departments disappear, not because robots are better, but because they are predictable. Before we go further, please subscribe to my YouTube channel for more Tesla content like this. I break down the real economic consequences behind Tesla headlines, not just the surface-level hype. If you want to understand where this is actually going, subscribe now. Now here is the part nobody wants to say out loud. Gen 3 does not replace the best workers first. It replaces the middle, the reliable, the consistent, the trained but not exceptional. Why? Because Optimus does not need creativity. It needs repetition, and most industrial labor is repetition disguised as skill. This creates a pressure point companies have never faced before. Do you keep paying humans for consistency, or lease a machine that never degrades? Once that question enters boardrooms, the answer becomes arithmetic. And arithmetic does not care about sentiment. But here is the twist. This capability does not trigger Backlash immediately. It triggers quiet adoption. 1 unit, then 5, then 20. By the time headlines appear, the transition is already done. And this is where Tesla's biggest problem emerges. Because once Optimus proves economic superiority, Tesla becomes responsible not just for performance, but for displacement. The backlash phase. When success becomes the risk, every disruptive technology follows the same pattern. First, it is ignored. Then it is celebrated. Then It is feared Optimus Gen 3 is crossing into the third phase, because once a robot stops being experimental and starts being economical, the conversation shifts away from innovation. It shifts toward impact. And impact creates resistance. Here is the part most Tesla fans are not prepared for. The backlash will not come from engineers. It will not come from competitors. It will not even come from unions at first. It will come from liability frameworks that do not exist yet. When a robot replaces a forklift operator, the risk profile is clear. When a robot replaces a warehouse picker, it is manageable. But when a humanoid robot replaces a general labor role, everything becomes blurred. Who is responsible if Optimus misjudges distance and injures a coworker, drops an object that damages property, operates correctly but causes indirect harm? Tesla cannot point to a driver. There is no human behind the wheel. That means responsibility flows upward. To the manufacturer, to the software provider, to the deployer, and Tesla sits at the center of all three. This is why success becomes dangerous. The more capable Optimus becomes, the more Tesla absorbs risk that no legal system is ready to price. Before we go further, please subscribe to my YouTube channel for more Tesla content like this. These are the conversations that actually determine whether products scale or stall. If you want the real analysis, not just optimism, subscribe now. Now here is the political reality. Governments do not regulate potential. They regulate consequences. Once Optimus begins displacing labor quietly, pressure builds, not in headlines. In policy rooms, insurance requirements tighten, certification standards expand. Deployment approvals slow down. None of this stops the robot, but it controls where it can operate. And Tesla knows this, which is why Gen 3's design emphasizes something subtle, not maximum strength, not extreme speed, predictable behavior, because predictable machines are easier to regulate than powerful ones. This is Tesla, attempting to thread a needle, move fast enough to dominate, move cautiously enough to avoid shutdown. And that balance is fragile. One incident, one viral clip, one poorly deployed unit. That is all it takes to pause momentum, which brings us to the final and most important question. Can Tesla scale Optimus without triggering the system designed to slow it down? Tesla's only path forward. Why slower might actually win. Here is the paradox Tesla now faces. Optimus Gen 3 is ready enough to scale, but scaling too fast could kill it. Not technologically, legally. Historically. Every breakthrough that moved faster than regulation hit the same wall, not because it failed, but because it succeeded too visibly. Tesla understands this better than anyone. They lived it with autopilot. They lived it with full self-dash driving. Move too fast and regulators freeze deployment. Move too slow and competitors catch up. So Tesla's only winning strategy with Optimus is controlled inevitability, quiet deployments, private facilities, closed-loop environments, factories first, warehouses second, public-facing roles last. Not because the robot cannot handle more, but because the system around it cannot. And this is where Tesla's advantage actually appears. Other companies need publicity to raise funding. Tesla does not. They can deploy silently, improve quietly. Let economics do the talking instead of marketing. Before we close, please subscribe to my YouTube channel for more Tesla content like this. I focus on what Tesla does next, not just what they show today. If you want to understand the real trajectory, subscribe now so you do not miss the next breakdown. Here is the final truth. Nobody wants to admit Optimus will not change the world overnight. It will change it without asking permission, one factory at a time, one shift replaced quietly, one balance sheet line improved. By the time the debate explodes publicly, the transition will already be locked in. And when that happens, the question will not be, should humanoid robots exist? It will be who? Waited too long? That is the real risk. Not that Tesla Bot Gen 3 fails, but that it works exactly as intended. And the world is not ready for that speed. I will see you in the next one.